want to chat with you guys about today is something that you have to look inside just a little bit, and you've got to take a look at really what your organization is doing, but you also have to look at what you are doing, because it's not just, you can't expect people to do things that you're not already doing yourself. And so you kind of have to look in the mirror in what I'm going to chat with you about here today. And I teased the call earlier this morning, and I titled today's topic, The Difference Between the Dreamers and the Doers. The difference between the dreamers and the doers. And there's really one thing that separates the dreamers from the doers, and it also separates the wishful from the wealthy. And before I tell you what that is, just think about this for a second. How can it possibly be that you've got two people that have the exact same capabilities, the same hopes, the same aspirations, but they have radically different outcomes when it comes to building this business? Well, it's what separates the dreamers and the doers. And life's great separator is action. Guys, it's action. Action is the great separator. Right now, there are opportunities, there's ideas, there's dreams in your life that you should take action on. That you're thinking about right now that you should take action on. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and he might be on the call here today, Michael Copperwhite. He was in Cabo with us. And Michael, he's a drummer in a band, and I'm like, oh, Michael, that is so cool. That is awesome. And he was asked to sit in for one gig with this band, and all of a sudden he's got 24 gigs that are scheduled after sitting in with the band one time. And that's just one thing that Michael does. And the second thing that he's doing, he's getting his pilot's license. And Michael's my age. He's my age, and he's like, yep, I'm going to buy a plane. I'm going to go out there, and it's like, way to go, Mike. It's like, way to go. It's like you were dreaming of that, and what you did is that you took action. But the problem is that most people want to act, but they're afraid to do so. They may excuse their lack of taking action by telling themselves that they don't know how to do it, or they question, or they even doubt, or even worry whether it's going to work out or not. Well, I can tell you this for absolute certainty. You will fail at everything that you don't try. You're going to fail at everything that you don't try. And think about this. Nothing you've ever accomplished have you ever done before. Had you ever done before? Think about this. I'll give you my experience here. I had zero experience in being a friend until I made one. I had zero experience in being a husband until I became one. I had zero experience being a teacher until I became one. I had zero experience in this business being a networker until I joined 33 years ago. I was never a racquetball player until I picked up a racket. I couldn't play golf, Paul. I know Paul's listening right now, Paul Swasina. I was never a golfer until I picked up a club. And it was ugly. It was ugly for a while. I was never an investor until I invested in something. And trust me, I'm still not an investor. That's a work in progress. I remember a billionaire told me one time, he said, you're going to realize what a horrible investor you really are. Right? So he told me, he said, Steve, hire people. Stay in your lane and just surround yourself with good people. You guys, I was never a grandfather until I was. Now, that's really something I didn't have to jump into, but when I found out that I was going to be a grandfather 2.5 years ago, I seriously said to myself, I am way too young to be a grandfather. There's no way people are going to be, I was like, Grandpa Steve, really? Until it happens. And now I wear that title. It's a badge of honor. It absolutely is a badge of honor. Now, all of these things happened because I just jumped in. And the outcomes evolved in ways beyond what I could have planned for. See, all of this analysis by paralysis, you get people that sit back and they analyze things, and they end up analyzing so much that nothing ever happens. Action is never taken. But this paralysis by analysis is useless because it seems like nothing ever works out the way that it's planned. You can sit there and have the greatest plan in the world. You can put this all on paper, and it's never going to work out that way. And I try to do that in my business. And you guys hear me talk about this all the time. I talk about just go get two, who get two, and everybody come in with one. It never works out that way. It never, ever works out that way because people are people. And we talk about the 80-20 rule all the time. So it's like whatever you plan, just plan on that not working out the way you think it's going to work out. But you can get to the final result because along the way you make adjustments. I was told by a pilot one time that when you're flying, the plane is off track. Okay, it's off course about 90% of the time. But what happens is that the pilots and air traffic control and GPS, they just make adjustments until you land on a dime wherever you're supposed to be. The key is to just get started. You guys, you don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. The key is just take the first step and apply that to anything in your life. If you're sitting here today going, man, I haven't enrolled a customer. I haven't even enrolled, somebody else in the business, an associate. It's like, okay, we'll start today. Take the first step in making that happen. And you're like, well, I don't even know what the first step is. You know what? Michael Copperwhite, he didn't know what the first step in flying an airplane was either until somebody told him. Somebody told him what the first step was. Well, the first step in building our business is have a conversation with somebody. All right? Actually, the first step is you become a believer in the technology that we're promoting. You become a believer and then go out there and retell that story to as many people that will possibly listen to you. That's the first step. And when you do so, take another one. And then just take another step. And just take them one at a time. One right after the other. And before you know it, you're going to rise to heights that you couldn't see at the bottom of those stairs. You can't see the entire staircase. If it's a winding staircase, you can't see all the stairs. But all you know is that if you walk those steps one step at a time, you're eventually going to get to the top. And the top is a pretty good place to be. Whether you have to go up there and get something or whether it's just the view that you're looking at. Guys, allowing yourself to dream is really good. It's really good. I think we all need to sit there and just dream and go, man, what if? But taking action is what makes it come true. And it's going to be ugly. And don't be afraid of ugly. It's okay. It's okay. Remember the first time, that you tried to ride a bike, it's probably ugly, and you've probably got the skin knees to prove it. But now you jump on a bike and it's like breathing. You don't even think about it. Think about that. I'm getting a little deep here, but think about birth. It's like you never took a breath of air until you were born. And then you just did it. Now you don't even think about it. Today you don't even think about it. You don't even think about walking. There's an old saying, it's like, how long would you give a baby to walk? How long would you give a baby to walk? People go, oh, I don't know, year and a half, 9 months. I'm like, really? So if they don't walk after a year, you're done with them. Nope, they're sitting in a chair forever. It's like, no. How long do you give a baby to walk? As long as it takes. As long as it takes. So whatever you are dreaming about, whether it's, building a business like this, or you want to play a musical instrument, or you want to learn how to dance, or you want to learn how to sing, or you want to learn how to fly an airplane, take the first step. Just take the first step, and it's going to be ugly. That's why you have an instructor sitting in the seat next to you in that aircraft. That's the safety net. That's why when babies learn to walk, they don't do it on the tile floor. They don't do it on the concrete patio. They do it on carpeting somewhere because when they fall, it doesn't really hurt. But it's ugly because they can't really walk. And eventually, they get it figured out. And in this business, it can be ugly sometimes. You can say the wrong things and you can overwhelm people. But what you're doing is you're learning how to present. You're learning how to interact with people. People said to me, they said, "Well, Steve, where did you get your public speaking training?" I'm like, I use you guys like a comma. I've never had any training, right? I've just figured it out. Steve, how can you get on stage and talk to 10,000 people at one time? It's like, I don't know. I just did it. And it's crazy, guys, but it's way easier to talk to a group of, 1,000 or more than it is a group of 10. Because when you're in front of a group of 1,000, you don't see anybody. You just talk. But I didn't know that. I'm like, no. Let me talk in front of a small group. It's like, no, small groups are harder. Big groups are bigger. But you don't figure that out until you do it. Until you stumble and you skin your knees a little bit. But the key is take the first step. And I don't care what's going on in your business today. I don't care if you've been in this thing for a year and a half or 2 years. And you're like, I don't have anybody in my group. It's like, well, okay. Then start today. Just start today. Take the first step. And then you're going to take a second step and a third step. And I want you guys to apply that to everything in your life. Not just this business, but if you want to go out there and learn something new. I mean, listen, Colonel Sanders didn't get into the chicken business till he was in his almost 70 years old. It's like, all right, there's never a bad time to start something. But the key is you've got to take action, which is life's great separator. All right.